programs, educational programs that are related to sustainable development. And very often universities use their administrative processes, their internal policies, and their asset management and property management, including campuses, towards achieving some of these goals, some of these sustainable goals, including enhancing eco-friendliness, reducing ecological footprint, and many other activities that popularize and work towards the goals of enlightenment, education among the wider society, among the academia, among their students. And that is why today we suggest that we discuss the practices that are being implemented by Russian universities and universities abroad, and some of these sustainable goals that have direct relation to university development and campus development. And I suggest that we talk about these practices, this some new activities that could be included in the university internal policy.
Начиная с технологий развития кампусов и зеленых кампусов. Коллеги, у нас сегодня в рамках нашей работы будет 6 основных участников круглого стола. Я позволю себе их представить. Это Наталья Трунова, первый вице-президент, руководитель направления пространственного развития Центра стратегических разработок. Это профессор Гунаван Тьяхаоно, эксперт международного рейтинга Green Metrics Университета Индонезии. Это Екатерина Бакеева, председатель Ассоциации зеленых вузов России. Это Артем Погорелов, руководитель социального комитета студенческого совета Высшей школы экономики в Санкт-Петербурге. Это Юлия Кузьмина, специалист отдела аналитики и сопровождения проектов, Сибирский федеральный университет, город Красноярск. И Екатерина Алексеева, руководитель отдела сотрудничества Ассоциации «Раздельный сбор». У нас очень представительный, широкий состав участников круглого стола, поэтому я бы просил всех участников ориентироваться в рамках своих выступлений на 7-8 минут, для того, чтобы у нас еще было время для вопросов, обсуждений и так далее. Соответственно, для участников нашего круглого стола я бы просил фиксировать основные вопросы в чате прямо во время выступления, чтобы потом было удобнее их озвучивать и обсуждать. Коллеги, соответственно, вот это общие базовые организационные вещи. Да, мы работаем 1,5 часа. Вот прошу, ориентироваться на это время. Поэтому давайте будем переходить к нашим основным докладам и выступлениям. И, как мне кажется, нашу сегодняшнюю дискуссию было бы важно начать с обсуждения некоторых общих тенденций развития кампусов университетов в России. Опять же, не секрет, что отечественный опыт, российский опыт в некоторой степени отличается от многих западных моделей, англосаксонских моделей пространственного развития университетов и городов, в том числе связанный отчасти с советским наследием устройства системы высшего образования. И вот я бы просил вот с вводным таким выступлением рассказать о общих закономерностях развития кампусов в нашей стране Наталью Турнову. Пожалуйста, прошу вас.
Добрый день, уважаемые друзья. Да, сейчас я буквально 200... Надеюсь, да, вот.
Да, слышно отлично.
Да, откроется. Я пытаюсь найти, где оно у меня. Вот. Я прошу прощения, что она на русском. К сожалению, мы не успели ее сделаем это и пришлем. Да, Олег, спасибо большое за представление. Еще раз всем добрый день. Очень кратко, как просил Олег, 7-8 минут, основные тенденции и основные такие, скажем, примеры, наверное, да, как сейчас цели устойчивого развития инкорпорированы в университетскую среду. Понятно, что это далеко не все, и наши уважаемые спикеры сегодня про это будут рассказывать. Сначала несколько слов вообще о целях устойчивого развития, как они сейчас имплементированы в политику в Российской Федерации. Вам всем хорошо известно, что у нас сейчас реализуются национальные проекты. Вот если все вспомнить наши национальные цели и национальные проекты, то это такая российская версия целей устойчивого развития. Да? Это и, как всем известный нацпроект «Экология», про который, я думаю, мы сегодня будем говорить как раз все, что связано с утилизацией, сбором мусором, поставить совершенно на другой уровень до, ранее 24-го, теперь до 30-го года. Это и такой у нас проект, как «Жилье и городская среда», где есть ведомственный проект «Умный город», который предполагает внедрение умных технологий в городское пространство. Это еще много других разных таких проектов, как, например, проект по и наццель по борьбе с бедностью, которая реализуется через несколько тоже национальных проектов, поскольку ключевая тоже одна из целей устойчивого развития – это решение проблем бедности. И поэтому, да, когда мы говорим об устойчивости и вот о достижении целей, это, конечно, не только про экологию, да, это вот первый тезис, это не только про ресурсосбережение, это про достаточно большой такой объем целей, да, с которыми на самом деле могут работать вузы. Почему я начала с нацпроектов и вот с этой общей рамки? К сожалению, и вот мы с Олегом это обсуждали несколько раз уже, да, на разных площадках, что, к сожалению, у нас вузы, кроме участия в своем профильном национальном проекте, да, практически слабо представлены во всех остальных. Именно как потенциальные такие субъекты реализации. Да, у нас это все зависит в России от таких форм, в том числе бюджетного финансирования, но и как потенциальные партнеры на региональном уровне, к сожалению, пока рассматриваются очень редко. Вот если мы посмотрим на рейтинг Times How Education's Impact Ratings, это как раз рейтинг измеряет успех глобальных университетов в достижении целей устойчивого развития. У нас очень неожиданные лидеры.
THE, and among the leaders, surprisingly, we have the top 3 universities, which are the Altai State University, then Bauman University and Plekhanov University. So these are the 3 universities that are being represented as those universities who sustainable goals, and they set up partnership and the economic indicators and ecological sustainable development goals. So these are some of the sustainable development are proven their great performance in. And we also have a lot of information activities that are taking place, but there's a lot to improve on this. And if we look at the experience of the Moscow universities that are not represented in this ranking, we can see that, yes, they are not included in these rankings, but they're nonetheless implementing a lot of activities, and the Moscow Industrial University is one of the few universities across the country that gives a lot of attention to such things as saving energy, as being energy efficient. And this is what they are concerned about. And this is a unique project when we can analyze and monitor all the losses and analyze all the resource consumption. So this is one of the best examples across the nation. Another example within this framework of sustainable development is the Moscow State Pedagogical University. It's a whole different example and a whole different understanding of these goals. And maybe it's even an ideology. And it's a motto of this university to be helpful to the city, to be helpful to the citizens. So it is a motto of these universities, which is very appropriate, I think. And one of the key tasks or objectives of this university towards the city and its citizens is the engagement and enhancing the comfort and training for new skills, for new competences, enabling this training to the citizens of the city of various age groups. So there's a number of projects that are being implemented, which our colleagues from other regions of the countries and maybe from abroad. So you might have heard about this. This is the so-called Silver University, which is part of the urban project implemented by Moscow, where a chance is given to elderly people, to pensioners, to be engaged into the city life, to enhance their standards of life, their quality of life. So this is one of the social projects that is related to engaging a wider audience into communication of various age groups. So I think it's very important. And on the other hand, something that we can see based on the example of Japan and other countries, where the percentage of the elderly people is growing exponentially. So there's more pensioners, and this is becoming a social mission. But not just that, it is also one of the elements of reformatting the labor market and engaging elderly groups, elderly people into society. And the situation in this country is also changing dynamically, and it is yet another type of sustainable development. Also, we have an example of Lappeenranta University, which is in St. Petersburg know about it. And initially, this university was represented as one of the universities of the leading universities for renewable energy sources. This is one of their priority development tracks. So this is solar energy, wind energy, and electrical transportation, public transportation. So these are their key development priorities, and they have relevant facilities to train students in these programs. So everything that the university is developing, it has the relevant facilities to train their students and to run trials. And this strategy, the green campus strategy of Lappeenranta, is synchronized with the urban environment, with the city itself and its shape in this environment. And this is based on the green technologies and this sector of economy, the green technologies. So I believe we use this term very often right now. So this green economy in the small border town of Lappeenranta has been implemented for a number of years now. And 90% of all the consumed energy is being provided for by the renewable sources of energy. Next, the National University of Singapore, which is a great example of introducing smart technologies and energy saving and resource saving technologies into the limited space, into the urban space with a high density of population, and where it is required that we are very sensible, we be very sensible about the resources that we consume. We save water, we save energy, and new artificial intelligence and smart campus technologies, and such technologies are being implemented by the National University of Singapore. So this is a whole new type of this interaction when the university becomes a sort of a testing platform for developing and testing these new cutting-edge technologies, which are then being implemented both within the city environment and across the globe, internationally. From our view, these are the things that are lacking attention. So these are some of the rooms for improvement. First, we have the measures for sustainability goals, such as energy saving and waste treatment, waste collections, such activities that should be implemented on a wider basis. And right now, all our key speakers are maybe exceptions from this case.
Например, связанные с той же самой эффективностью, энергоэффективностью, они, к сожалению, не в нашу пользу. Да? То есть здесь нужен целый комплекс мер, в том числе, например, финансовых, которые бы позволили в течение комфортного времени, это не нужно делать быстро, сильно быстро, да, потому что мы знаем, что в исторических...
Russia allocated in historic businesses or buildings, and maybe High School of Economics will round building that will have this basis that allows to save energy.
Потому что вот как я показывала пример потенциально для использования в достаточно широком масштабе.
As I showed on the example of our university, inside the universities, we have huge barriers. We do not transmit experience from one university to another. And on the one hand, we understand that we have real problems and limitations when, as I say, one university has material and technical base, which is represented only by historic buildings, where you cannot change anything. But the whole system works the same way for everyone. So we have a lot of obstacles. We are trying to invent different kinds of systems, but these projects are not carried out in mass. These are just single projects. We know how our legislation in terms of purchase works. The question is always raised about if we have a commission from the city to solve some problem, then implementation might go without any competition or tender. But unfortunately, we know that this is under discussion yet. So I would stop here. I think I've spoken for 10 minutes. Thank you very much, Natalia. Dear colleagues, if you have questions, please let me know. Now let me ask a question. Your presentation was really interesting, and you showed that the leaders this agenda are the universities abroad and in Russia that implement their researches and developments in their own campuses. It's clear this logic connection. And the most important issue here, and in the last slide you showed that, okay, how would you stimulate the universities that do not carry out any activities in this regard? So what do you think? I cannot avoid this question. So how pandemic could stimulate universities in order to review their internal campus policies, taking into account new technologies, data gathering, and because pandemic showed that, at least in Russia, that this standby was really bad and had a huge impact on economics. So how COVID could change this policy regarding ecology as well? So it's a great question. I believe it deserves a separate discussion, a long discussion. So everything that touches upon resources and additional flows. So, but if we address foreign practices, we know that one of the directions is collaboration of different universities and forming halls, joint educational institutions, so that if something goes wrong, they could like pay for them and maintain them together. They are trying to refuse to have huge campuses, and so this is the strategy. Because with us, we are trying to grow the sites so that we become free in these kind of situations. Unfortunately, it is not our case because our sites actually are belonging to mostly federal governments, and our universities do not possess this freedom. Because what does it mean to rent a co-working for students somewhere? I believe that everyone here understands how many limitations you would have. And so you wouldn't even start to think in this direction. So if we take big global trends, which I believe that they need to be discussed because we cannot avoid it. So as far as stimulation is concerned, if we speak about something simple, about something something too complicated. So if we check our universities in terms of energy effectiveness, we will have very sad results. because these researches have been carried out in some of the places. So if you take a business environment that thinks in this direction because they're paid for it, and if you take our social institutions, because this is the issue that concerns not only university. In the universities, these parameters were twice as bad as in other places, and even in the leading universities in Russia. It's not some regional universities that are not counted in these researches. So the parameters are twice as bad as in commercial organizations or institutions. So through some positive motivation, you can change it. If this delta that you save would go for the development of the university, stays within the university, then a lot of universities would have an additional stimulus in order to implement these technologies. If there had been some small scale, even small scale grants for implementation of these novelties, we see nowadays that we have norms and standards that are introduced day by day, and they are becoming stricter. But if you speak about energy-saving technologies, we speak about different things that are very complicated when we speak about sustainable development. But we need to start from the bottom, go from simple things to the more complicated ones. So the parameters of the resources, of the effectiveness, they can be better or worse in commercial and companies, foreign companies, or other ones. I actually showed you examples of the universities such as in La Peranta. Those are the universities that produce energy themselves. They are not connected to any state-run systems. Should we strive? But we need to start from very basic thing. Vehicles that are still with us, and we need to have more freedom. Thank you very much, Natalia. I think a very important issue was voiced. In order to implement something, the university needs to spend a lot of money in the beginning. So if it is seen not as expenses, but as potential prospective return of this income, so as profit, then it can become a part of economic policy. And it's an important context. Dear colleagues, I suggest that we move forward and speak about global picture and agenda about development of green universities. Today we have representatives from one of the most important ratings in the world, rating initiated by the University of Indonesia. And I would like to give the floor to the representative from this rating. It's Professor Gunawan Tiangho. No.
Sorry. Hello, everybody. My dear colleagues. First, let me extend the apology from Professor Riri, who supposed to be here with all of you, but she has an unavoidable agenda, so she cannot share her knowledge and experience with all of you. But she asked me, I hope I will present her material to you and hope you will also share all of your experience and by asking questions. So can I share the screen?
Sure.
Okay. I think, can you see everything?
Yes. Yeah, just a second. We are waiting for the presentation. Yes, yeah, it's good.
I'm sorry for some of the, it doesn't move, but okay. Let me see, because of my computer. Okay, let me start with we green metric. We are among the ranking organization under IRAC, the International Ranking Expert Groups. And we are trying to measure through universities' activities to make the world more livable and with good quality so our next generation will not have so many burden. So we, of course, as Professor Trunova had mentioned, well, we all in this system now. The United Nations has already set up the program, what we understand as Sustainable Development Goals, and how our ranking system go side by side with the Sustainable Development Goals. We set 6 criteria. The first is a setting and infrastructure, which goes to has connection with Sustainable Development Goals 11, 12, and 17. And then energy, Sustainable Development Goals 7, 11, 13, and 17. And then we also set the criteria about waste. So it will go 15 and 17. And then we also measure the quality of water. Which we 17. And also we measure transportation use inside the campus and also connected to the urban scheme, which goes to the Sustainable Development Goals 11, 13, and 17. And then, of course, education is the most important because all of the campuses should go with the program in their education system, curriculum, and so on. So it goes with so many sustainable development goals. Goals number 1, 2, especially that's not the sole responsibility of the universities because it's concerned with no poverty and zero hunger and so on. And then SDGs number 3, number 4, number 5, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. That's what we got. So now let me introduce that. In 2003, I think the first ranking, university ranking, according to academic achievement set by Shanghai Jiao Tong University. And then the next year, we have Webometric, and then the QS, and then for ICU in 2005, and then the NTU HEACT start from 2007, Time Higher Education from 2010. That's the starting point of also the UI Green Metric. We start from 2010, and then now it's already more than 10 years. At the beginning, we only get 95 universities around the world participated in our program, but it's already covered 35 countries. And then by 2020, we got 912 universities participated, including 51 of them are from Russia. And among them, we got also Oxford University who participated in this program. So it's not bad. So this is the coverage, the region, country, category, 85 countries already participated in UI Green Metric. Then this is our criteria. We know that we cannot breathe we cannot hold our breath for more than 5 minutes. Right? So the only thing that can clean the air is greenery. So it's a setting and infrastructure. And then we are now in the condition of climate change, a crisis of energy and something. So this is our second criteria. Our third criteria is about waste. This consists of 18% of our measurement. And then the quality of water, we cannot stop drinking for more than a week, let's say. So the quality of drinking water is very important. So the campus has a responsibility to enhance this water purification conservation program. And then we know that transportation, under the circumstances of capitalistic, liberal capitalism, we all now already accustomed to the use of cars, but that is not very good. So transportation become another important point in our measurement. And of course, education becomes very important. So this is our criteria, which we of each university. This is the distribution of countries. Of course, some countries has only one or two participants to participate in our program, so we can have a huge amount of members who can share the experience. What is the wrong lesson we need to avoid? And then this is the picture of Russian university. Of course, RUDN is in the world ranking to stand for 42, and in Russia ranking is the #1 university. Of course, this is according to 51 participated university from Russia. Possibly there are some new who can perform better than those performed here. So we invited. In terms of point, if you got more than 7,500 points, then you are already in this category, the gold category. If you are between 5,000 to 7,500 points, then you are in the silver. So within the 51 participated universities from Russia, you have 2 universities in this category. And then the bronzes are under 5,000 points. This is the overall performance of the university. You see, in education, it's very good. It's more than 50% percentage of point. Then in terms of let's say energy and climate change is not so bad too. It's above 50. And some setting infrastructure, and I will give you some of our analysis. Energy and climate change, you can see not as a EC1, which we categorize it into 8 categories, and then we can distribute it into the number of percentage point you can gain. And then the waste also have some picture to portrait, and water and then transportation, and also education and research. So I would like to expand our invitation to all of you who participated in UI Grimetrics, and also we welcome the new participants, if ever. And now we also try to understand more about the activities of the university. Any university has a kind of creating its green startup business. So we get some feedback, early feedback without calculation into the measurement, but we had already this picture. And then we also got this picture for climate change. We have Universidad Toxicidad. Excuse me if I wrongly pronounce this the name, because I'm not fluent in Spanish language. And we had all of this about startup. Of course, waste can become an economy. It can generate also energy and also fertilizing the land. So waste now is kind of good activity for the university to demonstrate to the university can lead the program to make a better water conservation program for the community. And also, we encourage very much to use the public transportation or bicycle. And already in the crisis, and then in water setup and other. Then we also encourage the university to open up its open space for the use of the public. So if you can share more land, then it will be used positively by the public. So we collected all of this information and come up with about within the worldwide range, it already has so many square meters of land, open space can be shared to the university around the world. Of course, these numbers are not necessarily very correct to represent all of these activities. And then we also encourage the university has a kind of reach out program to the community. So the community services becomes a very important role played by any universities. And then by category setting infrastructure, you can share with the community, make your community services program through your students and also the faculty members. And we have an information collected by one university research program, a research attitude toward the societal impact of sustainable development goals. You can see that life below the water get a very few response. And then I don't know the answer of, I don't know, only 3%. That means we got a kind of participating rate quite higher. In our ranking, at present, our last year, the Wageningen University of Holland ranked number 1. So it's probably no surprise. This university has achieved a lot of innovation in the green economy as well as green activities. So I ask you to participate in our program. These are some of the dates. Data submission is through May to October, and the validation is October and November. And the result, we always announce our result by the end of the year. So please feel free to participate in our program. And program, I think because this is in record, so my material had already shared with the participating professor and faculty members here to read it more carefully, because the time you very much. And last but not least, I should also thank Ms. Sabrina Ramadianti, who had already spent her night and days to prepare this presentation for you. So thank you very much.
Большое спасибо, профессор, за очень интересные слайды.
Thank you, Professor, for a very interesting presentation. We have a question from chat. Our colleagues are asking whether directly relatable
it's harder for small universities
size, yes.
Without a campus to achieve high scores on certain metrics. If your university only on it create difficulty, because we encourage those who have campus to share the space and also try to reduce or clean the air and also reduce the consumption of water and so on. So it's, of course, will have a kind of harder, but you can have a very high score in transportation because you don't use transportation. You always use the internet. The problem is that how many of the students can afford? In my countries, not all of the students can afford the internet. And also not every corner of the community has a strong internet connection or Wi-Fi services and so on. So it's returned to you again. You can save some area, but score low in some area. Of course, yeah, this is a very hard question, but we need to think about that. So it's not fair too for those who cannot afford a campus site, but you had already used this electronic and so on. You can save in transportation, and you can also score high in education too. You don't need to score high in every category we said. Okay, is that answer the question?
Okay. Yes, I guess that it's okay. Thank you. And let me please ask one more question. I guess it will be better to do it in English. So considering your great 10 years experience of this ranking, could you please assume what is the scale of national policy? What is the impact of national policies aimed to foster universities to become green campuses and something like this? I'm wondering the differences between the national policies and internal policies of universities to become green campus. How do you think? What is more?
Wow, that's a very good question. And frankly, it's the impact of our ranking system affect more outside nations university. Let's say I can pick Iranian university. When an event occur in that country, the minister came to join the conversation, the discussion, and which university rank in each year lower and lower will not get the fund. Russian universities in Russia at 51 is not so far from our countries, we got only about 60 something. So even in my country, not every university know about this too. Or some of the university, like the question asked before, it doesn't have campus or a permanent campus, so it doesn't have a kind of permanent address yet. So it's the same case. But we keep going on because we know this is a good thing we have to do. This is value we need to create, but this is not the price. We not accept any payment for our activities, but we create good values. To me, that's very important.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much for that. So let's go forward, дорогие коллеги. Движемся дальше.
Dear colleagues, we are moving on, and in Russia we have the Association of Green Universities of Russia that has been running for some time, and Catherine Makeva, the head of this association, I'm giving the floor to you. And I'd like you to discuss the top priorities of the universities in the area of green campuses and green technologies. Dear colleagues, my name is Catherine Makeva, and I'm representing the Association of Green Universities of the country and the respective program. As I've mentioned, our program has been running since 2016, and its main priority is shaping the ecological awareness and ecological culture within the academia, and implementing green administration and specific ecological practices into the university environment. And we have different projects and different eco-friendly programs that we are trying to implement. And I would like to touch upon such programs. The first one is called Vuzaka Quest. So this is a number of quests where the students have 12 tasks. For instance, one of the quests is on water management and cleaning up the water bodies, and they have several tasks for this subject matter, different levels of difficulty. Speaking about results, so in September to February of this year, students that participated in our quests collected 17.3 tons of waste and for recycling, and planted 55,000 of trees. So these are the result just for this to draw your attention to the fact that we are monitoring and collecting and implementing the best practices that are popular with the students, that are very relevant today, our younger handbooks, which can be quickly accessible, and they detail the experience of such and such universities across the country, ecological, also contact data, for any questions, for any details that you might want. And one of the latest handbooks, which is called How to Make a University Green, it's on the left-hand side of this slide. And this is part of the national project on ecology, and I hope that these handbooks will be of use to you so you can download them again. But right now, I would like to cite a few specific examples. But unlike my colleagues, I decided to focus on these examples, sustainable development examples. And I might have chosen a few different ones. So I'd like to apologize in advance if something cannot be covered in my presentation. So if you need more details, if you want to delve into this topic deeper on how the ecological agenda is being promoted and implemented in universities, so the first one is eradication of poverty, and at least once a month, our students launch these programs, they do these activities, and right now it covers 390 universities across the country.
Program, but we work regularly with the 132 ecological clubs from 119 universities, because some of the universities have a couple of clubs. So these universities have systematic ecological programs and volunteering. So we try to advertise the separate collection of garbage, and in cases when some of the materials they have left after some of the events, they actually give them to different organizations in need that help poor people, etc. Yeah, I would like to give you an example of Novgorod University that has elaborated the program of education in ecology, and they have a lot of events related to ecologic agenda. So not provided to everyone. So they try to differ the situation, to change the situation, and provide students with this information, but also teachers university who elaborated ecological policy for the university. They established the basic regulating standard, and they have established global aims and goals, and the process of their everyday activities and ecological usage of different supply materials, etc. They are provided to other universities as well over the country, have adopted this standard as a document in this regard. It is very important to have additional non-formal education and activities that they carry out themselves. For example, it's my personal opinion, the university in Kaliningrad, the students carry out scientific researches about plastic and its impact to the Baltic Sea. And it is really interesting that we are going to speak about partnership and 17 goals of ecological development. It is interesting that universities collaborate with different companies and external organizations and share experience, and they bring it to wide public. So it's collaboration with ecological centers of our region. If we speak about clean water and sanitary facilities, so we try to implement the practices of saving water in our country and regions and in cities. And from 2017 yearly, we carry out some activities, and we have practices when the students and the staff of the university go out into the streets to clean the streets, but other things that they implement some water-saving technologies. They install sensors for water saving. Yeah, we even need to explain and promote such basic things as why we need to switch off the water when we are brushing our teeth, for example. So we really start from the basics.
Да, если позвольте, Екатерина, минутка у вас остается, чтобы коллеги еще успели выступить.
Okay, 1 minute. So we speak about positive experience of different universities regarding saving the energy saving, and half of the universities that work with us, they implement separate garbage collection, also implementation of they actually they have established the goals regarding sustainable development, and they also digest once in 2 weeks, fortnight. Then, and I would like to mention the University of North Ossetia, and they work together with the colleagues from Spanish University, and they're going to have a book of guidelines in the 3 languages that is coming out very soon. That's all. I would love to hear your questions.
Коллеги в чате интересуются.
I see that the organization has carried out a
И, коллеги, так как у нас остается...
colleagues, because we are running out of time, I'm going to ask questions in the chat so that other participants would also have questions for time for questions. And for now, I would give the floor. We have 3 cases. Universities, St. Petersburg University and High School of Economics, and third one is a separate garbage collection. So all the questions go to chat. Please, the time limit now is 5 minutes for one report. So the speaker is Artem Pogorelov from High School of Economics in St. Petersburg. Good morning, dear colleagues and the audience. I would like to speak about our sustainable development in St. Petersburg campus of High School of Economics. I would like to tell you about existing projects. All the campuses in St. Petersburg have containers in order to collect paper waste, and then we bring this paper away. Then we collect used batteries, and besides that, some of the buildings are equipped with containers for clothes collection, and then we collaborate with the charity shops. And in some of the places, we collect plastic bottles, which then we bring for utilization. It's that we have eliminated the usage of plastic glasses, plastic cups. The students have gotten used to the fact that they need to have their own reusable plastic bottles. This, and it took us a lot of struggle. This is how it looks like. And I would like to tell about the following steps that we are going to take. So we are planning to establish a fully separate collection of garbage. On Kantemirovskaya, for example, we are going to install containers. They are ready and they need to be installed. It's going to be a massive project, and containers will be installed on all the floors, and then they are going to be installed in this students' housing. And then when the situation with COVID will get better, we'll have some of the actions in the street in order to inform people and work with the population. We work on the project of optimization of conscious usage of plastic cups in different cafes and canteens, and we see heaps and packages with these used cups, plastic cups. So we elaborated, or it's in process, the system of bonuses for elimination of plastic cups. And it's a good decision for cafes practice of paper checks, and we work with the Fuswell supermarkets now. Then other direction in our work. This is the inquiry that we carried out with students 2 years ago. So how are you interested in participation in eco projects of High School of Economics? So what we found out, we spoke with 300, 400 students from different buildings, and 85% of students have given positive response regarding ecological projects in the university. It makes us really happy. So this for the changes, and half of the students, they have a separate collection of garbage and they bring it to reusage, and then they're planning to some planning to start with our aid. We asked in high school electronic devices and batteries. So the trend here is sad because half of the students do not use these services and they have never heard about them, and 40% haven't used those services even if they heard about them. So here our department is going to carry out a lot of work in the future, and these are the main conclusions. So first is informing. You need to give information to students about existing possibilities within the universities, because some of the students are not aware. Then making our projects known to public. carrying out mass actions and collection of clothes, and then organizing swaps, exchange of used clothes and other objects and fairs. And then we need to expand our projects to all the campuses that we have and all the student housing. In the process of using this presentation and during this the work over the past year, we understand that we need to have the unified policy regarding sustainable development. We should set the goals, we should have figures, and we should have a time frame, different direction of work, etc. We'll have set the plan, and we'll have a green office, and we'll have a person in charge for this. And we believe that all this suits the strategy of green and sustainable development of High School of Economics, and we need to work with students and elaborate such a paper, and we hope to be successful. We'll invite external experts maybe, or experts, and we hope to have this strategy, and we'll succeed already and have some first fruits of this program in 1 year. Thank you very much for your very clear cut presentation. I remind you to ask your questions in the chat. And now we'll hear the story of the case of Siberian University. Thank you very much for the interesting stories and cases. I'm going to share the presentation. So my connection is not very good. So if you lose me for some time, beg your pardon in advance. Okay, you can see everything as far as I understand. Yeah, the presentations on the screen. So the people, and it's in the air. A lot of people they want. They were working really hard in this direction, and they published reports about the third mission. And when forming the program of development of the university, they took account sustainable development. So there are first, second, and third missions. We need to have an understanding about all of them. As any university, our university has this third mission. It's incorporated in our activities. So in order to be accepted in this direction, we have applied to Green Metric, and we took part in this rating, and we became the university that takes second place in Russia and has positive dynamics. So when we started to take part in this initiative, we started to realize but only decided to solve some issues in this regard and collaborate with the city and the region. A lot of our projects are being implemented right now. So what are we doing in particular in this regard, and what is the third mission for us? So when preparing for this story, for this speech, I decided not to speak about just one project, but for us, the priority is civil science. And then another important notion is lifelong learning. It's studies, education available for people of all ages. We have carried out a lot of activities. We participated in Krasnoyarsk Economic Forum, and we carried out a number of projects that went into the city, that we organized public lectures open to the inhabitants. We have a concept of openness and transparency. We collaborate with different institutions, and it is impossible to organize any big event without these concepts. So today we are asking us for whom are we doing it, and what is the role of students in this diversity, because the students are not the objects of the education activities, but they're subjects of education and social activities. So I'm sorry for the fact that this project, this presentation is partly
именно для студентов. Это наша мотивация и их
We're trying
возможность.
to do everything in our power to give the students chance to take part, to participate in these initiatives. And these initiatives are being backed by students, and our students taught us how to tell a difference between theory and hands-on practice, between discussing things and putting them into practice. And here we have top 5 eco-friendly or green universities of the country. Julia, we cannot hear you. Julia? Unfortunately, Julia, we're having connectivity issues. Maybe Julia will come back at a later time. I'd like to give the floor to Catherine on separate waste collection. Catherine, are you here? Yes, I'm right here. Oh, but Julia is back, as I can see it. Julia? Yes, sorry. I dropped out of service, but I'm back and I can continue. Yes, but you only have a couple of minutes, so could you please skip the slides and maybe just wrap it up? Yes, if I lose connection again, then please continue without me. So, getting back to my presentation and on this separate scrap paper and waste collection, we are trying to reduce the amount of paper that we are using continuously and to save the trees, to save the forests. And this was the initiative backed by our students and other initiatives and other practices that we are implementing. There's quite a few of them, but unfortunately we don't have time to discuss them. And everything is made possible by organizations, which we have over 100 at our university alone, and about 47 of them are engaged in social missions. And we also have a volunteer youth center, which made possible to hold a university Olympics, International Olympics. And in this digital era that we'll live in, it's so very important to focus on sustainable development goals. And the third mission of the university is to give these opportunities to our students. And in the far east of the country where I'm from, where our university is, we have a saying: if you give fish to a person, then he will not be hungry for this day. But if you teach him how to fish, then he won't be hungry for the rest of his life. So this is something that we say in the Far East. Thank you. And I would like to give the floor to Catherine. Catherine, you have 5 minutes for your presentation. Oh, but initially it was 8 minutes. So, but yes, I will try to be as brief as possible. Yes, as a moderator, I'm asking you to limit your presentation to 5 to 8 minutes, please. Can you see my presentation? Yes, we can. Dear colleagues, once again, my name is Catherine Kate Alexeyeva, and the head of one of the departments within the separate waste collection organization of this country, and I'm also an expert on ecological, eco-friendly business. We interact with local authorities, with municipal authorities. A couple of words about my organization. We are an NGO, a non-governmental organization, and we promote sensible, sustainable development principles, zero waste and cyclic economy in Russia. You might know about us. You might have heard about our monthly separate waste collection days. We have over 14 branches in 14 towns of the country, and until the COVID pandemic, we launched these days monthly on a monthly basis, and we had around 94,000 of participants. And our focus area is waste collection of fourth and fifth hazard grade, and the line of activity. We have several lines of activities, and we are working with the governmental organizations, municipal, and up to the federal level. So we work with society, we give classes, workshops, master classes. We are trying to promote ecological practices within the business community, and also separate waste collection in St. Petersburg and St. Petersburg region. So we are helping our society members to set up containers for separate waste collection. So maybe one of the key priorities of our activity are these waste collection days, which we hold every month, every first Saturday of every month. So you can scan the QR codes for details on where these collection points are and how you can participate. So also another line of activity is ecological education. And again, you can use the QR code for details. You will see that we have a wide scope of materials, including leaflets, including handbooks, videos and posters, and so on. Another important project that we are coordinating is the Recycle Map. And I believe a lot of you know that maybe the only reliable source of information on the infrastructure of separate waste collection, specifically in St. Petersburg, is Recycle Map. It's recyclemap.ru/SPB with waste collection points and containers. So there's over 4,600 such containers and points, waste collection points. So you can check this map to find the point closest to you. And the map is being updated on a daily basis. So our operators are updating the map. So it's a live organism that is being updated through the efforts of our volunteers. So it's a non-commercial, not-for-profit project. And these are examples of such containers. We have over 30 companies that help us with waste collection. So these are waste collectors that look like traffic. Is for our hotline phone number if you want to. Maybe one of the key priorities is preparing recommendation for businesses, and one of the examples, one of the cases is a set of recommendations for X5 Group, which is a famous supermarket. Recommendations for suppliers of X5 for packaging. So maybe this is one of the first big projects that we had, but it's a very representative one. And last year we also prepared recommendations for retail companies and delivery services. And at the end of last year, in conjunction with the Eco association, eco-union, we prepared the so-called eco-standard set. And regarding the separate waste collection in universities, I'd like to thank you for inviting us to this event, and we were happy to prepare this presentation, to pull together our best practices and our experience with working with academia. And right here we have the main aspects, the main areas of interaction with the universities. We have several thousands of volunteers all across the countries, and most of these volunteers are students who are the most active group of society, and especially in the ecological area. We also get requests on helping students with their theses papers and term papers, and we had several of them this year, and unfortunately there is no reliable data on waste collection in Russia publicly available. So since we are an independent NGO, an export organization who has been dealing with separate waste collection for 10 years, we have unprecedented expertise in this area. That's why students, both students and scientists and teaching staff of the universities come to us for this knowledge, because we have this information, we have the statistics. Maybe it's not fully 100% reliable, but it's better than nothing. And we assist students in writing thesis papers and term papers on a variety of subject matters that are related to zero waste, expanded manufacturer responsibility, GR, and packaging. We also have a number of internships available on an ongoing basis, and every month we get a few requests for sociological surveys and research, both from national universities and international universities, because we have a large number of participants, and we have over 2,000 people in our social network group. So these are all citizens of our city who have this awareness, ecological awareness, and who are being sensible about the ways they go about it. On a variety of workshops and specialized programs for those departments at the universities who. So sometimes we issue recommendations for them as well, and we also are active participants in all sorts of events such as hackathons that are related to ecology. We provide for universities, including ITMO University in St. Petersburg, and they're preparing for a big event in June. So yes, you can come to us with these questions on how to make your university more ecologically sustainable, eco-friendly. And we provide a number of services, educational services, both for our participants and volunteers, and our students can gain these insights on separate waste collection. And last slide is on this dynamics of development and maybe new future trends on eco professions and sustainability goals. And some of these professions that we are either helping to shape, or we are training students in these professions for future companies, or we help to popularize them. These are specialists on cyclic economy and sustainable development, and I know that no universities have programs in these subjects, so that's why students come to us to learn how to navigate this environment in big companies. The next one is everything that is related to waste management and waste recycling. Then implement ecological practices in businesses and events and big businesses, which is more geared towards or is looking towards sustainable development. And we are helping staff members to implement more eco practices. The next one is eco design of materials and sustainable packaging, which is also very trendy right now because a lot of people pushing for it, for manufacturers to either have an eco free packaging or zero packaging at all. And last but not least, the sharing economy, car sharing, co-working, hostels. So this sharing economy is gaining more momentum, and it is a good thing. And we need more experts in this, and we are happy to help them with this. So this is my contact details, and please feel free to contact me via my social network page or my phone. So thank you for your attention. Thank you, Kate, for your presentation. I encourage all our participants to post your presentations in our group chat if you can. Technically, it's time to wrap up our discussion, but we also have a couple of minutes to talk about the green experiences of Higher School of Economics. So dear colleagues, if you need to leave, if you have some other business to attend to, then you feel free to leave the conference. But I would like to give the floor to Polina, maybe our last speaker. Good afternoon. Yes. So hopefully you can see it. Yes, I see you have a lot of slides, so please, we are limited for time, so be brief as possible. So, well, very briefly, I'd like to talk about the Green Higher School of Economics. And this is one of our priority areas, both in Moscow campus, where we organize a separate waste collection. We have various initiatives, various days, eco-friendly, eco-awareness days among our students. So these slides, these are the events that we participate in. Separate waste collection. And here are the pictures of our students. We attended the event, an international event, RYEP. And we also organize various parties, lectures, seminars in the Perm region of the country. We were trying to promote eco-awareness. You can visit our Instagram page. And I would like to say that we are trying to attend as many events as possible. And we know that the third mission of the university is very important. So that's why we're trying to stay in touch both with HSE and the society and the municipal agencies. So this is very briefly about our activities. Thank you, dear colleagues. I believe that we have heard about very interesting practices, both national and international green campus practices. And one of the questions in the chat was that how to transition from the volunteer activity and to make these practices part of the curriculum and to scale them up on the university level and expand them, include them into the university curriculum as a full-fledged part of internal policy of universities, of educational process. And I think we have large opportunities for scaling it up. And thank you for this discussion. And I see that you've shared presentations in the chat, and I believe that the dialogue will not stop here, and our colleagues will continue exchanging their good practices. So thank you for your attention again. Have a good day and goodbye. Thank you.